Alrighty, here we go. We're in show, and thank you all for being here at BirdDog Live Sessions. As you can see, I've got lots of gear here in the virtual environment that I don't actually have because it's not there. Oh, that actually looks like I can reach back and get it. It's just a really small camera. Thank you all for being here. My name is Anthony Barocas. Wait, I have a tag. I have a graphic for this. Da, ba, ba, ba. Here it is. My name is Anthony Barocas here for BirdDog Live Session. And I have a special guest today talking to us about ISE. This is an ISE recap. A bunch of things were announced. And as always, this is a live show. You are here. We are here. We have Q&A at the end. So if you have some specific questions, and I do see a couple questions have come in about a 30X PTZ, an X1 cam control question. So if you have questions with regards to BirdDog cameras, feel free to throw them in the comments. This is a live show, and that's what live shows are all about. And I can go back and I can take my graphic off. And one of the key things that people love in this show is we have a giveaway. So use your little second device, unless you're watching on your second device. In that case, use your whatever. Just scan this and win a 1-year BirdDog Cloud subscription to be able to take your NDI from one location and send it to another location anywhere else in the world. And if you don't know if BirdDog Cloud is for you, hey, a free subscription is a great way to find out how useful it could be for you without having to pay a single penny. So that is a great giveaway right there. And I have the sheet open right here on a computer so I can see when people are entering. Let me scroll down, make sure it's not coming in further down. All right, so when people do that, we'll come in right there. So thank you for that. And let's get to the news. First up, as has been said, the biggest news is this month is that the BirdDog Max camera, the pod, and the keyboard are finally out. Did I push that? No, I push right here. No, it's not. Oh, okay. The Max and the keyboard are finally out, and they made their debut at ISE. Then next is the success of these products at ISE was pretty remarkable. A lot of people, like I said, we're doing an ISE recap, so we're going to be able to find out exactly what people were interested in. I actually don't know if all of the colors were at ISE, but we'll find out in a minute. And the booth was very busy with a lot of interest in the new products coming out from BirdDog. And what were those products? The Max. The Max is the PTZ camera it bridges the gap between like full-end production cameras and web cameras for conference rooms. It gives you a lot of capability without having to pay for a lot of extra features that you don't want. And I think a lot of people look at this camera and say, what's the difference between this and an X1? We'll tackle that in a minute. The next thing up is the pod, or the POD. This takes multiple NDI signals that you can assign to different physical buttons, and then outputs USB that you can send to Teams or Zoom or WebEx or whatever your corporate tool of choice is. And that way you can have an NDI camera, you can have different NDI cameras in the room and switch between them without having to deal with a computer. Once it's set up, you just like click, 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 super easy. And I think a lot of deployments in conference rooms are going to find this really easy, even in education too. And lastly, the big news is, I'm going to say keyboard. The KBD, since I don't say POD, the keyboard controller is a whole evolution. A lot of people have used the previous BirdDog controller. It had a little an LED screen for giving you status, but this one of the big features that I personally feel is going to be super advantageous is the built-in monitor where you can see multiple camera feeds in the screen right there without having to hook up a separate monitor. In addition to this, you can just put this down on the table and just get right to work on it. So I think that is going to be really, really impressive. Next up, there are the bundles that are out there. So if you are looking at the new BirdDog gear that is out and you are interested, oh, I want to deploy that, you can get bundles which offer savings. And then if you offer the X4 or X5 bundles, they come with a free keyboard or KBD. And the other ones offer significant savings. And as you can see, there is this cool case that Dan talked about last week. He actually had one in the live show. So if you haven't seen that, go look at last week's live show and check that out. He showed this multi-camera keyboard case live, and it is pretty darn impressive. So feel free to check that out so you get savings, the case and or the keyboard. So those are very exciting developments. Thank you again to everyone who's tuned in. We've got Jason saying good morning from New Zealand. Welcome, Jason. Thank you for being there. And let's see, UTV says hello, and Stream for Us says welcome, everyone. And oh, is it Randy? Randy is in Winterpeg and says it's minus 25 all week long. Is that Celsius or Fahrenheit? I think at minus 25, it's kind of pretty close to the same thing on both. But that would be very, very cold for me. I am down in Texas. I don't have to deal with that cold, but it is going to go down to 10. So we're not we're not completely out of the cold weather, no matter how far south we are. It just seems to come down to us. Chris says those bundles are tempting. They are indeed, especially with the free keyboard. That's a big deal, I think, in my personal opinion. And it's the new keyboard with the extra monitor capability. So having that all together is a big deal. And don't forget, we have this offer as well. Register to win a 1-year BirdDog Cloud subscription. So feel free to send those. I've got entries coming in already. I can see QR code is working. Feel free to enter that. And let's jump back up here. One last thing we're going to go to is introduce my special guest, Monty Bennett, the VP of Sales at ISE. So what I want to do is I'm going to come down here, and then I am going to bring Monty on just like that. Thank you very much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here.
So ISE, for those who don't know ISE, explain ISE.
Yeah, good point. ISE is the Integrated Systems Europe. So it is for those that are on the call that are familiar with what Avixa hosts in the U.S. market is Infocom. ISE is that counterpart for the European market, right? Primarily systems integration type focus. It is a massive show. It's actually my first time to have been to that particular show since it's hosted in Barcelona each spring. I do all the U.S. shows, of course, but the European shows are not usually my region, but I had the opportunity to go this year, and it was great. From what I saw and heard, I think the total attendee count was somewhere around 85,000 at ISE this year. It is a 4-day show in Europe as opposed to a 3-day show for Infocom in the States. So it's a little longer show. Starts on Tuesday, goes through Friday afternoon. But yeah, I mean, all of the major electronics brands are there. And as we see in this space in particular, a lot of us companies like BirdDog, for example, that have had this production and broadcast upbringing in the past, are leaning more and more toward this integrated solutions type of application, right? We're seeing more integrators bring our products into corporate enterprise type installations and so forth. And with our announcements that we had this time around, it was a perfect show for us to showcase products like Pod, like Max, and of course the new keyboard or KBD as well. So it went very well. We had a very exciting. I don't know if the booth was measured in meters or feet. To me, it was probably somewhere in the ballpark of about I would say probably a 10 by 30, large enough to do what we needed. We had about 7 of us BirdDog folk in it. Myself, Dan and Jamie from Down Under, CJ Farrell, who's our product manager for the converter lineup, also came in from Australia. Of course, CJ is a Texan by birth, but has moved to Australia. And we had Levent and Robbie, both of our European counterparts were there as well, and Suso, who's a marketing communications guy from Spain. So we had a good crew there. 4 solid days of never coming up for air. I mean, the booth was just packed all day long, every day. Great conversations, great
What
questions.
what was the hottest thing based on the audience? What did they gather around the most? What was the hottest thing?
Two things really. I mean, at the end of the day, right? All of the hype that we've had around keyboard, in particular, right? We've not been letting people know that the keyboard's coming, but everybody that knows BirdDog has had some level of experience with the old keyboard. Um, so having the new one and having it physically in the booth in multiple stations, working and everything else, hands-on experiences by far were just people played with it for 5 minutes and went, wow, this is a massive level of improvement, and honestly kicks the butt out of everything else in the market, as well. I mean, just the feedback around the keyboard was amazing. And then Max, BirdDog Max is very exciting. It for that price point of what that camera is going after at $895 US, right? Um, to have a professional, Sony image module inside the camera and do some really cool things with a wider field of view and be tuned for those AV corporate meeting room type applications. I think that's really going to be a great camera for us. And of course it comes in black and white, but we've also got some fun colors. Then Max will come in as well. So
I,
yeah,
I would have thought
those two.
Pod. I would have thought Pod would have been. I mean, because that has been announced already. People knew about it, and for it to actually be like arriving, I think I would have expected that to be sort of more of an integrator, more excitement on that.
There was plenty of excitement around Pod for sure, though. The thing is that the way that Pod was initially designed and the way we kind of announced it to market a few years back, right? Pod has had a lot of updates compared to what we initially designed it for, and the applications it was intended for initially. So there's some things that Pod is able to do now and will do upon its release that we have not really broadcast out to the market because we didn't want to say that these features were happening until we knew they were happening, right? Until
So
until
what what
actual
what
release
fe-
time.
what features are in Pod now versus what it was originally?
Originally, it didn't do audio at all, which was one thing. So the new one will. Secondly, one of the coolest things I saw that CJ was able to demonstrate to us it live in the booth was not only can the buttons be assigned as an NDI stream, right? And that could be a stream from a camera, but could also be any other NDI stream that's on the network that you're connected to.
Like a
Uh,
screen share?
sure, absolutely, absolutely. Any other NDI, web video stream that you wanted. But the buttons can also be assigned as an API recall. So if you wanted to use it for API commands, you could literally use a pod to turn down your lights, to drop the shades, to turn the projector on, if you wanted to.
Interesting.
There's some other interesting features like that that are going to happen in pod that really we didn't necessarily design pod to do that initially. Now, you know, ultimately we've had a few years to make pod what it's supposed to be, and we've done that right. The hardware, even though it looks the same on the outside, is completely different inside. Uh, so much more reliable than what the first generation was
Going to
probably
be.
going to be. Yeah, exactly. Right. So
What
very
might have
excited
been.
about pod. Very excited about pod.
All right. Well, before I forget, well, it's actually on your side of the screen, so you're going to have to point. Um, feel free to, nope, see, it's backwards. Feel free to scan this QR code and enter the contest. I don't want to I want to give everybody who's because I keep seeing the viewer count go up. Scan and win a one year bird dog cloud subscription. So this is very cool. It's pretty impressive little package you could win for free. Moves NDI from one place on the planet or office to any other place. And even if you don't know if you might need it, hey, this is a way to try it out for free, and not like a limited 2 week or whatever 14-day test,
Mhm.
like you didn't get to it in time because life happens. This way you have plenty of time to test it out, implement it, get it all deployed and everything, and really test this out. So I want to throw back that up there. And then to continue along, we did actually get some questions in. Does the keyboard multi-view work with only NDI?
That's a great question. I am I'm a sales guy, not necessarily a technical expert of the team, but I will tell you that within NDI it worked out great. I would have to. I'm guessing that this question has. I mean, are we trying to utilize HDMI or SDI video or something else within the multi-view? I mean, the NDI feed has to come into the keyboard to basically be seen as one of those four inputs or one of those four images on the monitor.
Right, right.
So, right, I don't know any other way for us to be able to grab an SDI feed or an HDMI feed or something else to be able to put on the multi-view.
Yeah,
But,
because there are
but
no HDMI inputs on the back of this
no,
unit. It
exactly,
is a networked device, and
it is
just for clarity, I think the keyboard itself, like the earlier version, can be powered over PoE. So it's literally a single cable solution, right?
100%, 100%.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when you get down to that single cable, there's no SDI connections, there's no HDMI connections, there's no composite video connections.
Mm-mm. No, no, just the PoE. I mean, it does have the ability to be powered locally if you wanted it to.
Right, right.
But PoE is there
If
as
you
well.
didn't have PoE, you could still power it locally, but it's still going to
Right.
work over NDI.
Yeah.
All right, the next question we have here is is pod bidirectional from NDI to USB and from USB to NDI?
At this point in time, the pod is only single directional, which is NDI to USB conversion.
Okay,
So
so you're selecting
taking an
from
NDI,
multiple NDI signals coming into it and coming out USB.
converting that into USB as an output. Yeah.
Right. So, and I always tell people, like, things that have been added, like, the my P100 can now do H260, can now do HX, which it didn't originally
Hmm.
do that. But never buy a product based on what might happen. You buy it based on the spec sheet when you buy it. Does it do the job you want it to do now? Then you buy it. If you get something extra a year from now, because nobody ever told me when I got the P100 5 years ago that it was going to do HX. It was just a full NDI camera.
Right.
It did what I needed to do. That's what I bought it for. I was happy. So don't buy it for whatever you perceive might happen because that might lead to disappointment. Next question comes up. Are the bundles and combos already shipping?
It's a great question. They are not at this point in time. And the reason is even though we have announced the new keyboard or KBD, the actual hardware itself, we are in the process of running that through manufacturing, and then it's got to go from manufacturing into the warehouse, global warehouse to regional warehouses and so forth. So we're about at this point, I'm going to say about a month or so before KBD will actually be in stock in the U.S. market, and about the same time frame globally as well. But we are that close on it that we wanted to go ahead and make the splash, make the announcement at ISE. I was joking with you earlier. I said, that we had asked ISE to go ahead and push their show back a month so that their show could align with our product announcements and shipping announcements. They didn't go for that, but
No, no, no.
we can say that keyboard is on the way. It is imminent at this point in time. Those bundles and combos are going to be available here. Call it, at this point, like I said, about a month out or so.
And how about POD?
POD or pod? Pod. We're looking at shipping around the end of March, so available in region probably middle of April.
And just not to confuse the two topics, pod is not part of any of the bundles.
Correct. Yeah. There's currently no bundles with pod and a camera or anything else because pod is functional on its own. You don't have to have
Right,
any. You
right.
can have any full bandwidth NDI source as well as HX source can work with pod.
All right. And want to throw this out there again. If you haven't already entered, I keep seeing the viewer count go up. You can scan and win for free 1 year BirdDog Cloud subscription anywhere in the world. That's the cool thing about a software giveaway is we just need an account, an email, and then we attach this to whatever you got, and you can win BirdDog Cloud. I'll just leave that up there for a couple seconds as a question came in. Any update on the X1 running the cam control app?
Yes. We actually had that showcased in the booth kind of as a pre-release beta, but that is coming. That is coming.
Is
Absolutely.
that a
We
beta
know
for
that
the app or a beta for the camera? Or a
uh,
beta for both?
beta for the camera to be operating within cam control.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. Yep. But it is our intention to have all of the new X series cameras as well as Mach-E, everything else going forward at this point in time to be functional with the cam control app as well. So that is that is the intention. It's a development thing, but yeah, we are working on it.
Alrighty, let me pop this. And we'll go to the next Q&A that came up over here. What's the difference between the Max and the X1 cameras?
Yeah.
I can think of three clear differences, but I'll let you answer this. Wait, let me answer and then let me see
Sure. Let's go.
how accurate I am because you know the products way better than I do. Um, Field of view, slightly wider. Um, no Wi-Fi, no SDI.
Close. You're right. You're right on a few things. Let's first of all the field of view, right? Max designed for those AV type applications has a full 90-degree field of view, right? X1 Ultra, um, those designed more for the production environment for just a single person type of shot are, I don't remember the exact number, 68, 70, 72 degrees, somewhere in that ballpark as far as the field of view on those. You
So
mentioned
at
Wi-Fi.
the wide end.
Right, exactly. And once you start zooming in, then that's one thing. We actually had Max and an X1 Ultra sitting in the booth next to each other, literally like right next to each other, zoomed the same rate on something across the aisle from us, for example. And you could see how the X1 had a wider field of view, and how it's not a weird fisheye lens or anything else. Doesn't do any weird distortions at the edge of the screen, and that was great. You mentioned that X1 has the Wi-Fi functionality to be able to do NDI HX3 over Wi-Fi, and that's true. Max, for a conference room, we're going to plug these in. These are going to be connected over network
Oh yeah.
cables and stuff. So we got rid of the Wi-Fi portion of that. Um, the we Neither the X1 nor the Max have SDI outputs.
Ah,
We had right the X1 we decided to integrate the Wi-Fi functionality instead of SDI, but X1 does have HDMI. Max still has that as well. But X1 also has a built-in NDI-HX decoder. So for
right.
applications where you might want to use, say, a teleprompter or a confidence monitor somewhere near the camera, then in an X1 and an X1 Ultra, you have that NDI-HX decoder to be able to just run an HDMI cable out of it and over to your teleprompter or your confidence monitor and connect it and be able to offer roll. The Max doesn't have that functionality. We also eliminated the tally light on the Max. Most
Oh, okay.
most meeting rooms don't want a big glowing tally light in front of you. Um,
Click,
yeah, right,
click,
exactly. So
click.
it still has a power light, located down lower on the camera for sure, but the tally light itself was eliminated. So
Yeah, and with the new Halo tally, it's very noticeable. So I can definitely imagine people like it catching their eye. What?
exactly.
Or if there's one facing them, now when it goes on, they're like,
I'm just going to strictly down. Yeah. Now, Anthony, one thing we did make sure that was still included in Max that has proven to be kind of a saving grace for installers and configurators is the e-ink display on the side of the camera. Right. Both the X1, X1 Ultra, and Max families all have that e-ink display on the side that has, that shows you your IP address, your resolution and frame rate, the camera name if you've went in and done a custom name for it. So that information is still there, and we'll always include that. And that's one of our go-to features on all of our PTZ cameras going forward.
yes, and I find it handy because sometimes if I can't find it on my network, I can walk over to it and I can see that the IP, even the first two digits, aren't on my range. So then I start checking my networking and stuff like that. So it's really handy when the camera tells you I'm not on your network.
That's
Then you
right.
don't have to. It
Right.
gives you a better place to start with. So it is
Absolutely.
really really handy to have that literally on the camera,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
stays on there even when the camera's powered down. So you can kind of see like where was it deployed last based on what IP range it was on. Was it on my portable router? Was it on the office router or things like that? So that's just I guess maybe just for me, but
Right.
another question came in on the show comments. Any chance BirdDog will be making a 30x PTZ to replace the P200? And I know you guys have said with the new BirdDog, you're not going to announce products until they are like ready.
True.
But I guess you could kind of say whether, in the overall scope of things, we're looking at taking each of the cameras and saying, okay, this was the this one,
Right.
and obviously there is a need for a long reach type of camera.
Yep. So the legacy P200, of course, right, got replaced initially by the P240 that was in that same family as well. There was both of those were 1080 cameras. If you just look at price range alone, those two cameras then were replaced by the X5. Same MSRP dollar value. The X5 features a 4K 60 lens or image module, with a 20x zoom. On our side, there's a few things that we're looking at there, in the world of where a camera needs to go, and then that play between a 4K sensor or the 1080 sensor, right? So that's where at this point in time, the current lineup is a 4K sensor with a 20x zoom. I can't confirm nor deny that anything's in the works of a 30 or longer. But at this point in time, the 4K with a 20x zoom is where we're at for those products.
And then I also know, like on the low end realm of things, there are cameras that have a 4K sensor but deliver HD by cropping in on the sensor. JVC has done this for
I've
years
heard
with
that.
their variable
Right.
sensor, and again, not promising, but it's not within the realm of impossibility to say software could enable an additional 2x on top of that by cropping in. If you're only delivering HD, then there's still that extra 2x on the sensor,
Right. Right.
just being a sensor crop.
Yep. So, but there's
Let's
there's a
see.
lot of there's a lot of things that we've being that BirdDog has released at this point. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 new cameras in, or 6 at least in less than a year. Um,
That's a lot.
it's a lot. It's been amazing that we've been able to get as much out as we have with the reliability levels basically skyrocketing with all the new products. So, all I say is for requests like that, keep them coming. The more I know as, head of sales for the U.S. market, the more I know that my customer base are asking for certain features, certain functions, certain boxes to be checked, the more I can pass back up to product development and product management to say, look, this is something that we should actually kind of research and see if we can get there.
All
So
right.
thank you.
I got
Thank you
another
for that.
got another question from the audience, who's live audience. Like I said, this is a live audience, so if you've got a question, throw it into the comments. I'm getting comments from both Facebook and YouTube right now. So if you've got a comment or a question, throw it in right now before the show is on. UNTV says, any update for Dante to the hardware? Any Dante updates that you're aware of?
I have no update about that whatsoever from my side. I think that uh, if you wanted to pass along some question in particular like that, you could always reach out to hello at birddog.tv. The help one's actually for our tech support guys, but hello at birddog.tv goes into our CRM and then gets mapped out to the right people. So questions like that, we pass that back over to product management to be able to ask for their help and assistance, so we can get you an answer.
All right. I got a couple more good questions coming in. Let's see. I have 6 P4Ks. Is the new keyboard compatible with them?
It the answer is sort of right, and I don't mean that in a bad way, right? The new keyboard, our priority is for the new keyboard, the new KBD, to be compatible with all current X series models as a priority, right? We need to be compatible with what the new products are like and how the new products are in stock and selling, and that's part of the bundles and so forth. The second priority is to make sure that the new keyboard is fully functional with all the BirdDog legacy products as well. So P4K, P240s, P120s, everything else, P100s, like you mentioned earlier, Anthony. We want to make sure that is part of the functionality there. The beautiful thing is the fact that the majority of those, it's, you know, all the previous generation BirdDog stuff was either Sony Visca or NDI control compatible. So it's a fairly easy thing for us to get there, but we have testing that we have to do in order to confirm it.
Right,
Um,
right. And that's the key thing is making sure things are done, reliable, bulletproof before you deliver it, because you don't want
absolutely.
somebody throwing it down on a production table and then something not working right, and then all hell breaks loose.
And that absolutely, I think that's part of the qualifier with the word compatible, right? Are we saying some functions, most functions, or all functions? And then what? And then if there happens to be any asterisks that is, this function not supported, that we appropriately message that as well, right?
Right,
Um,
right.
I know that the new keyboard works with some of the old cameras because our support team in Michigan, for example, they've had a pre-production new keyboard for a while, and they still have 240s and P120s and P100s in that office that they use for testing. And they've reported that, for all the PTZ functions, recalls, stuff like that, everything seems to work fine. So, like
Yeah,
I
and
said,
and that's going
yeah,
to cover 90% of users. There's going to be some
right.
people that want advanced features that may or may not work. Like one of the things that I read was the new keyboard, you're actually going to be able to access like the AI features and the tracking features of the new cameras from the
Right.
keyboard without having to go into the web interface, which is going to make using the new cameras very, very handy. But
Mhm.
of course, that's like special glue between the devices
Right.
that has to be worked out and tested and everything.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like every device talks to some other device over their own API commands to a certain extent, right? So, like I said, we just it's things that we need to test, confirm, and then message out to the market that we've gotten there with it.
Okay, I got another question in here. I think this one's pretty interesting. Any plans on a play PoE, a
And
silent
then there's
version with
silent
no
version.
fan?
Gotcha, gotcha. So two different topics there, really, right? Um, One of the aspects of play, right, was to get an NDI decoder that would do full bandwidth NDI as well as NDI HX or HX2 or 3 decoding at a $149 price point. Um, at a $149 price point, PoE isn't part of the equation. So what as current play, right, won't have the option for PoE. Now, do we have lots and lots of users out there who just put a $20 PoE splitter in front of it, that splits the PoE off
Oh,
into
right,
into
right, and then
into
provides the
network
DC
and
power off.
USB. There you go. Like that works great. That way you can reset it from afar. Do whatever you need to do, right? Like that's a great way of doing it. And you basically didn't increase the price of it by any. You just bought a $20 PoE splitter to work. So that works out really well. Is there something in the future? Maybe, cannot confirm or deny that there might be something in the future for another generation of play that would
Well,
be.
and let me piggyback on that. How about a play pod?
Um, okay, tell us more what you're thinking.
Well, instead of a USB-C out, it just has an HDMI out. But just this little
Okay,
device that you can select. Oh, I want to see this. I want to see this. I want to see this,
there you
and
go.
then
Gotcha.
HDMI out. I mean that kind of like a play and a pod in one.
Yep. But with basic easy switching that just could be mapped to a number of buttons or something right there on top.
Right, and then stuck on the back of a monitor, like you
Hmm.
said, and it's like oh, I want to see the output of this program, because if like a church is using NDI on their network and they've got a bunch of signals going around, you can say, oh, I want to see the main sanctuary, I want to see the second sanctuary, I want to see
Yep.
what's going on, and you can just tick tick tick, and you can change what's coming into a monitor without any menus or computers or anything like that.
Gotcha.
All right, let's see. I got another one come in. If you already bought four X1 cameras, is it possible to get a discount on the new keyboard?
Interesting. Okay. What I would say there is reach out to us directly at hello@birddog.tv. Let us know I know that we not only have US or North American users on this, but we also have global folks. So let us know what part of the world you're in, and we can put you in contact with your regional representation and you guys can talk about some type of a discount.
All right. And then we got one last question that came in. Will 3D be added to the X4?
I have heard some stuff in the background from the team talking about continued 3D development on all of the X series products. So stay tuned for that one. It's not at the it's not at the bottom of of the request list, but it is there, and I do believe it'll happen sooner than later.
Well, cool. That sounds fantastic. And
Yeah,
let me thank you for your time, your
sure.
expertise, your your background, and your understanding of what is, what can be, what might be, and what we cannot confirm nor deny.
That's it. I see that Video Content Company just replied back that he or she is in Holland. So yeah, reach out to us at hello@birddog.tv, and we'll make sure to put you in contact with either Levent or Robbie, who are our guys for the European area.
All righty. Well, again, thank you very much. I'm going to let you go, and we have a giveaway to take care of, and that'll be the end of the show. So thank you again for being here. I
You're
appreciate you giving your
welcome.
time, and maybe we'll see you again in future weeks. This has been
Nope,
great.
no worries at all. Appreciate you having me today.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, so this is your last chance. If you haven't already entered to win, boom, 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 right here, you can scan and win a one year BirdDog Cloud subscription. And I did see someone mention that if you're watching it on your phone, you need the URL as opposed to the URL. So I will get to that next week in the next show. I'll put that over there. But I do have several entries already. I'm just putting this up here for the last few minutes. See if anybody who came to the show late wants to enter a whole year of BirdDog Cloud. I should put what the price is over here. A whole year of BirdDog Cloud. And again, this is available worldwide because it is software. You can be entered into, your account can be entered into the system, and then for your account, wherever you might be and wherever you want to implement this, Australia to New York, London to India, it doesn't matter. You can go from place to place, or whether it just happens to be from one place in Los Angeles to another place in Los Angeles. You can do that. And that's what the BirdDog Cloud can enable you to do. Let me take that out. And we are going to come down to our contest. So we have some entries right here. I'm going to select these names. I'm going to copy them. We're going to go over to the wheel of names for the live session, BirdDog live session giveaway. I'm going to paste those names into the list. And then I do this in front of you so that you can see that this is actually happening live, and you can see the whole process. And I guess it's just transparency. And then I click to spin, and I don't do anything. The winner is, Marc Olivier Memon. I think I said that right. You are the winner. I will forward your information over to the BirdDog team who are handling the giveaway, and congratulations on making that happen. So with that, again, I thank you all for being here for BirdDog live session, where we cover all things BirdDog and give away some cool stuff. I thank you all for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching.